Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. This is live show 1275. If you're not overly familiar with the dispatch, let me point out, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and usually we talk about the news. Tonight there will not be a news portion of the show. A little more about that in just a minute, but we tend to take a first look at a gaming release. More often than not, it is a role-playing game release. And tonight is going to be a Dolmenwood night because we are going to take a peek inside the first 4 adventures published for Dolmenwood. And then we're also going to take a look at the Adventuring Party miniatures set, which I believe has 11 minis. So that is what is on the agenda for tonight. Now, as far as the news portion, I'm getting ready to go to the Philadelphia area gaming expo. So I had a bunch of stuff to do today, finish up my packing, and my dad was under the weather. So a little extra work there. But I'm flying out tomorrow. My best friend, Elliot Miller, and I are going to be flying on out to Philly tomorrow afternoon. We're going to have fun. We are going to have a good time. I've got quite a few interviews lined up, and I will mention this again a little later on in the show, but I know some folks were curious, how could they watch those interviews? Well, the live stream will be airing from 10 a.m. through, some days it's 4, some days it's, I think one day it's 4, a couple of days it's till 6. One of the days is until 5. Myself personally, I am hosting the interviews from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern time because we are in Philly. So if you want to check out those live interviews, maybe get involved in chat, you can do so at the Page YouTube channel. So the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo has its own YouTube channel. Just do a search online. You will find it. They will have the live stream there. So that's what I got cooking. And then I will be back a week from tonight with a fresh episode of the Dispatch. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. You must be a subscriber to the channel in order to take part in chat. You have to be a subscriber for at least an hour before you can jump aboard. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. Also, later in the show, I will tell you how one lucky viewer is going to get into the running to win my PDF copies of these 4 adventures from Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral. And as always, I promise it won't be too tough to jump on board. All right, so first out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo. Kathy Evans is with us. Ravenclaw 74. Kevin R. Smith and Mike are hanging with the gang this evening. I would not be surprised. Possibly the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D might be lurking in the shadows as one of our chat moderators. Don't know. Maybe the little flash of glitter will give it away. I don't know. Do not know. All right. So, as I mentioned, no news tonight, but we'll still probably end up doing a show that's over an hour in length. So, do not concern yourself with that. Anywho, we're going to be taking a look at the first 4 adventures published for Dolmenwood. We're going to start with Winter's Daughter, and all of these little A5 hardcovers do carry an MSRP of $15. Those do include the PDFs. Now, if you just want to score a PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $10. All right, so let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Winter's Daughter. This was released for Old School Essentials, I believe, first off. Now this is a new edition, or at least a new print run that now has the Dolmenwood trade dress on it. Ravenclaw 74 says, with Dolmenwood and other releases, the OSR seems to be going strong in 2026. Yeah, I think it's been going all right the past few years. It kind of hit a lull for about a year and a half. All we were seeing were kind of retro clones that were just sort of the same old. It's just, okay, how can we tweak AD&D, or how can we tweak Basic Expert a little bit? But the adventures in that just still felt like D&D. Not so with Dolmenwood. All right, so let's take a look at the back here. The tomb of an ancient hero lost in the tangled depths of the woods, a ring of standing stones warded by the sinister Droon cult, a fairy princess who watches with timeless patience from beyond the veil of the mortal, a forgotten treasure that holds the key to her heart. Winter's Daughter is a romantic fairy tale adventure designed for characters of levels 1 to 3. Presented in a quick reference format, the adventure is easy to run with minimal prep. Of course, in order to run this, your referee will need to own the Dolmenwood core books or Old School Essentials. Although there are going to be a lot of things in this which you will not have stat blocks for if you're using OSE. All right. So, of course, keep in mind, we are looking at 4 adventures tonight. So if you're a player and your referee has picked up any of these, keep in mind, even though I have not had an opportunity to read through these yet, I haven't even peeked inside them. Although I seem to recall reading a PDF of Winter's Daughter a few years back. I can't tell you what kind of spoilers we're going to see as I'm randomly paging through, but you have been warned. All right, so this is written by Gavin Norman. Here's our credits page. We got some other folks who worked very hard to bring this to life. So I always like to give credit where credit is due. And this is the August 6th, 2024 version of Winter's Daughter. About this adventure, Winter's Daughter is a short adventure set in Dolmenwood, revolving around the forbidden love of a human knight and a frost elf princess in ancient times when the two kindreds waged war. PC's journey to the knight's tomb, which has lain sealed for centuries and conceals many secrets and treasures. Also points out that this is for characters levels 1, 2, 3. We get our player's background. We get some hooks. So as you can see, the presentation here is going to be just like we saw in Dolmenwood as far as the core books. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to take a peek at my videos. I did first looks at all 3 of the core books. And then I have also reviewed the trio of core books. Also, absolutely loved them. Thought they were excellent. Some of my favorite role-playing game releases of 2025. So the presentation is just little nuggets of information. So you're not going to get a lot of fluff. And that's one of the things I really dig about, well, for one, Old School Essentials adventures. I always like that a ton because it makes it far easier for a game master to just jump on in, maybe read through the adventure once, have an idea of what's going on, and then all of the pertinent information tends to be right there at your fingertips, all on 1 or 2 pages. So let's see. We've got Augusto Chuco joining us. I believe it might be a first-time visit. I don't necessarily recognize that nickname. And speaking of the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, Phil is joining us in chat tonight. Very nice. So if you are tuning in late, I did talk about how you can check out my live interviews that are taking place at Page. Of course, you can watch the other interviews too. I'm not telling you can't, but I will also mention that again a little bit later on in the show. All right, so we're going to start off with some of the different keyed areas on the map. If I remember correctly, I think Winter's Daughter is pretty sandboxy. It is not necessarily very linear in its approach. There's a lot of different places the player characters can explore. So as an example, we've got Outside the Mound. So we have 4 random events we could utilize. We do have some important information about what do the player characters see, what do they hear, what do they smell. So here we've got approaching the burial mound. Brambles half burying the paths. Twisted trees seem to close in as the PCs pass by, blocking their way out. Clanking metal sound. That's, of course, telling us as the referee, what is it? Looming ahead, there's a circle of standing stones. Those are the standing stones there. And they are the Whiting stones. So we get some information about that. And then we have 13 iron owls. Crude metal cutouts hanging from trees. Rusty, rain-streaked. They have pentagram eyes. So it looks as if this is more of kind of a setting the tone encounter there. Then we've got the Knight's Tomb entrance. So, of course, I am skipping pages. It's also important for you to keep in mind that my friends over at Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral did provide me with these review copies, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share these first looks with you. So we got the family crypt, but this is how the Old School Essentials adventures for the most part are presented. And then, of course, as you can see, that's carried over to the Dolmenwood adventures as well. Let's see. Pete Strakolich is with us in chat. Good to see you once again, Pete. So, says Dolmenwood. Go Bears. Yes, I thought I'd maybe wear my Bears sweatshirt, and I was like, nah. Trust me, I watched that game. I was going nuts. But I figured, I have people from all over watching the streams. I might even have some up in Wisconsin, so I'm not looking to piss anybody off or rub their noses into it. Okay, let's see. So, Pete Strakolich also points out Winter's Daughter set the standard for modern dungeon layout. So we should have an overall, there we go. Here's our overall map. This is something else that we see with Necrotic Gnome adventures. So as you can see here, this is the Knight's Tomb. And then in the book itself, we kind of zoom in on the different areas. So we'll normally get a closer look at a particular keyed location and then whatever's adjacent to it. So that's what we're seeing here with the armed statues as well as our Hall of Hounds. Now, if you're someone who wants a lot of background info, a lot of fluff with your role-playing game adventures, well, you're going to be a bit disappointed with these sorts of adventures, because what you are basically seeing is an old school approach. So old school approach sorts of adventures, for the most part, early on in the hobby, it was, here's the setting, here's the situation, here's what's in this area. All right, go to it. How your players react to those things, how their actions might have different effects on the people or creatures or whatever that happens to be in that area. And then it's, back and forth, as opposed to, all right, well, here's this. And then you're going to do this, and this. Nope. It is wide open. So we also have a ghost, the ghost of Sir Chide. They are undead, silent before attacking, immune to biological effects, such as disease and poison, and to mind all affecting spells. I almost said altering. Vapors of dream, paralyzation, dominate, has dark sight so can see without light, only harmed by silver weapons, magic, or magic weapons. Incorporeal, can pass through walls, doors, and other solid objects. Has an aging touch. Target ages 2d 20 years. Fairies do not age, but must save versus spell or be affected with terror and flee for 1d6 rounds. Yeah, there you go. The target aging. That is a very old school effect. And then, of course, can it be turned? And if it is by a cleric, then it disappears for 24 hours. And then it is tethered to the ring in the coffer. It can't exist more than 10 feet away from where it is. And then we get a referee's note here regarding the warded pool. Sweet. Cool ghost. All right, so then we've got the fairy prison. I think this is where the princess is. So now you're dealing with the frost elves. Now, one of the big bads in Dolmenwood is the frost elf prince. So we've got an epilogue. If you reunite the lovers, our magic items, and then some more maps. Hey, the Madman has joined us in chat as well. Good to see you once again. So they lost track of the time. They're getting ready for tomorrow night's game night. All right, so once again, that is Winter's Daughter for Dolmenwood. Now let's move on and take a peek at, I think this is the second one that was released. I'm trying to go a little bit in order. The Ruined Abbey of St. Clewyd. The once proud Abbey of St. Clewyd, the refulgent, has stood in ruins for a century, racked with weird energies and haunted by wicked spirits. Several missions have sought to reclaim the Abbey and quell the tides of chaos. It looked like an R. All have failed. What treasures lie untouched within, ripe for the picking? Can the mystery of the Abbey's ruination be unraveled and the forces of chaos be vanquished? The Ruined Abbey of St. Clewyd is a weird crypt crawl adventure designed for characters of level 4 to 6. Presented in a quick reference format, the adventure is easy to run with minimal prep. That's kind of cool. I always like the Necrotic Gnome maps. That's pretty sweet. So, taking a look at these adventures tonight, of course, they are available by way of Exalted Funeral. I am supposed to be meeting up with Andrew from Exalted Funeral at Page sometime this week. Trying to get him on camera for an interview. But he wants to go out for a beer because he appreciates the coverage that Exalted Funeral gets from the gaming gang. All right, about this adventure. The Ruined Abbey of St. Clewyd is an adventure set in Dolmenwood, detailing the accursed ruins of the once famed Abbey of St. Clewyd. This adventure takes player characters on a treacherous, fraught expedition into the ruined abbey, from the peaks of its fallen spires to the depths of its haunted crypts. Once the crown jewel of the Puritine Church's dominance of the wood, the abbey has lain abandoned for a century, the victim of a mysterious cataclysm. Riches and danger await within. So it's giving us the location connections. So in the campaign book, there is a campaign map of Dolmenwood. It is a hex map, and those hexes are numbered with additional information provided about each of those hexes. That's what this is going to also break down for you as well. So this takes place in hex 0906. So we get our referee's background. We've got the surface ruins. Oh, guess the player characters are going to have to deal with ghostly monks. Wandering spirits unable to rest until their last wish is fulfilled. Each has a secret he will share with PCs who help. None know the cause of the Abbey's destruction. So we have the 4 different monks, and we got our stat block for them. So, of course, they're going to share many of the same attributes as the ghost we saw in Winter's Daughter. So we've got our keyed locations. That's kind of cool. As far as the page count, we're looking at about 32 pages. So this is not going to be just a single session sort of adventure. Probably looking at 2 or 3, depending on how much the players kind of dip their toes into every location. It's the derelict bathroom. In the tub, you find a tarnished silver shaped holy symbol and a key to area 27. Oh, yes, there's a bunch of algae and stuff in the tub. Ooh, wonder if there's anything else that's rotted, decayed in there. So we got another section of the crypts. Looks like we've got a lot of keyed locations here, too. The treasure vault. And we got our western crypts. So we're going to finish up with about 50 keyed locales. Probably the Cell of the Silent. It contains desiccated corpses near skeletal husks, seated on stools leaning against the wall, still and silent, expressionless. But they are also going to be undead that attack the player characters. Oh, look, we're cracking 50. There's the Tomb of St. Clewyd. And then our epilogue. So we had 52 keyed locations. And our page count's actually 52. Sweet. As far as the production quality on this, really, really nice. These are hardcovers. The paper stock is very, very solid. As you can see, there's just a tiny bit of sheen to it. So not looking at that really cheap kind of paper that's been treated. So there's a lot of just glare coming off the pages. So we've got that. And I doubt that this would be sewn. Trying to see. I can't really tell. No, I don't know. It's glued. That's okay. I mean, you're looking at 50 pages. So that's not too bad. Tessie Trekkie's with us. Said no lizard people shape changers here. That's a little suspicious. Yeah. It's just me and my wife, Morgan Fairchild. Yeah, that's it. No lizard people. So, Tessie Trekkie says, I'm going to take a guess. It's in my estimation, players don't dip toes. They stumble around like a bunch of drunken frat boys, if you're lucky, and murder hobo everything they meet if you don't. I got to be honest. My gang does not murder hobo. They've never been murder hobos. Elliot's never been a murder hobo kind of player, regardless of what we might be playing. Like my brother, I've mentioned this before. My brother is like super cautious. Oh, I don't know, guys. I don't know if we should do that. Kind of like, well, if you don't, there isn't going to be too much excitement tonight. It's like, it's kind of funny. I'm like, Greg, it's not you in this situation. It's just a fictional character, okay? Alrighty. So we're going to get back to our adventures in just a moment and the adventuring party miniatures. But wanted to remind you that all of these adventures are available over at DriveThruRPG for $10. And of course, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to swing on by DriveThruRPG, do me a favor, stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and keep thegaminggang.com around on a month-to-month basis. Of course, if you enjoy the outlet, if you're enjoying this video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. But if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways you can also support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal, or become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find links in the show notes. Also, down in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. It's free to sign up. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. So I am going to tell you how one lucky viewer, and I'm not picking a winner tonight. I am giving people who don't have an opportunity to watch live to get into the running. But I am going to tell you how you can get into the running to win PDFs of all 4 of the adventures for Dolmenwood we're taking a look at tonight. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
you've got trouble. When you turn your ignition key on, all these electrical parts should join hands and work as a team. But one part is holding out. We've got to get you into our service department for a tune-up. There. Now all the electrical parts work together like a team. Boy, what a difference! She's raring to go. Right, Andy. And to keep your car running right, periodically treat the electrical system to a tune-up at your authorized Autolite service station.
Where you find men who are specialists on the electrical system of your car, trained under Autolite supervision. You get complete service at this dealer.
Were we supposed to stop here?
What's going on? You can't just leave us here.
Sir, we lost contact.
With whom?
Everyone.
There appears to be an event happening. It's some kind of attack. The first stage is loss of speech.
Claire. Claire?
The second stage is physical disorientation. The third stage is fatal.
I'm scared, Elliot.
It's okay.
The attacks are spreading. Boston, Philadelphia.
Maryland.
It's all over the country.
Authorities are now feeling that a terrorist group being responsible is becoming less and less likely.
She says everyone's dead outside.
Run.
Shut the windows and the doors! Here it comes!
Could this really be happening?
You know, watching that trailer, you'd think, hey, you know what? This movie might be pretty good. You fools. Yeah. So, you know me, I always like share trailers from either movies that are like really crappy or they're cult classics. And every once in a while, I'll sneak one in and you'll be like, wait a second. Jeff, that's like a well-known good movie. So I thought, well, I'm going to Philadelphia. What are some of the worst movies ever filmed in Philadelphia? And The Happening came up on a lot of lists. So from me to you with love. As I mentioned before we went into the brief intermission, I am going to be giving away PDFs of the 4 adventures that we are taking a look at tonight for Dolmenwood from Exalted Funeral and Necrotic Gnome to a lucky viewer. Here's how you get into the running. Number 1, be a subscriber to the channel. That's like a condition all the time of my contests. Do me a favor. Give the video a quick thumbs up. Now, I can't tell if you do that or not, but yeah. If you're getting into the contest, you know. And then finally, just in the comment section, let me know which of the 4 adventures we took a peek at intrigued you the most. Or if you're a game master, which of the 4 adventures you thought, hey, you know what? I would probably like to run that. And why? I mean, you don't have to write a novella, but say, hey, you know what? I thought that, the concept of the lovers that have to be reunited, things like that. There you go. There you go. Easy peasy. And then on Monday, I will randomly choose one of those commenters. And then a week from tonight, I will reveal the winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Chris Lundgren has joined us in chat. I love Pete Strakowitz says, I watch all the movies in your intermissions, Jeff. It's funny because a lot of times I'll share, some oddball trailer. And Pete Strakowitz is always like, oh, yep, now I know what I'm watching tonight. That was kind of funny. Chris Lundgren says they've got a new game group right in their own apartment complex. That's pretty nice. Showed them about 15 role-playing games to sample, and they said, let's play all of them. But they settled first on Zombies 2nd Edition. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Kevin R. Smith, who started combing all the M. Night Shyamalan's works after the Sixth Sense. Yeah, because he tends to do Philly, right? That's what Phil from Page is pointing out. But just like Barry Levinson, I should say Barry Levinson. It's not S-T-O-N. Baltimore, right? Baltimore all the time. All right. So there you have it. How to get into the running to win the contest. So have at it. All right. So let's get back to these adventures. We're going to take a look at the Fungus That Came to Blackeswell. Ooh, scary kid, scary. Fungal apocalypse has ravaged the isolated village of Blackeswell, blanketing the streets in blanched mycelia, waving early. Hey, everybody. I know it's quite early in the morning. Jeez. Waving eerily to an unheard hymn. The village is to be razed to the ground, but the bold may be able to get in and out before the troops arrive. Can any living souls be saved? Can the fungal infestation be reversed? The Fungus That Came to Blackeswell is an adventure of fungal horror designed for characters of level 2 and 3. Presented in a quick reference format, the adventure is easy to run with. We know it. We've seen it on the other 3 adventures. Minimal prep. So here's the village. Here's the map of our village here. I saw it said oil merchant. I was about to say, oh, it's Venezuela. So let's give credit where credit is due. No, we didn't do that on the last one. I didn't peek at the credits page. Hold on. There you go. Here's our credits for the ruined Abbey of St. Clewyd. All right. The Fungus That Came to Blackeswell is an adventure set in, well, you guessed it, Dolmenwood, detailing the ill-fated village of Blackeswell deep in the woods shortly after a fungal apocalypse has hit. So this is taking place in Hex 1604. Says the adventure does feature a number of characters and powers detailed in the campaign book. No prior knowledge of them or the village itself is required to run it. A myriad of Dolmenwood fungi detailed in the player's book and campaign book also appear in the scenario. Please refer to the core books for their values and effects. All right. So we've got our referee's background. So do we have a wizard at the heart of this? I see we got the wizard Paranax. So it looks like experiments went wrong. It's kind of what I'm getting here. So there is a time limit. The troops who are going to burn the village to the ground should arrive within 2 to 3 days of the player character's arrival. And of course, the referee can adjust that however they would like. So we've got a dozen random events with a 1 in 6 chance every turn. Wow, okay. So giving us some general notes about the shops and residences. They're finely built structures, many 2 stories in height. Everything is swathed in a thick, dreary white shroud, and no movement can be seen. The air is pungent with spores and rot. Blah. There are still human inhabitants. Says the locals have pallid skin with a distinct greenish tinge visible under candlelight. This is due to their consumption of the stinking green water of the black. All right. So it looks like our keyed locales will be the various different buildings. So we got the fish market, stonemason. Astor's Fine Costumery. They're a tailor. I was going to say, do you need a costumer in a small village? Is this a larger? Yes, the workshop. Klep's Workshop. It has, it's a half timber structure. Rotting white mushrooms dot the walls. Has a humid smell issues from the dank interior. And there's an oozing mucus inside. So as you can see, some pretty good detail on these maps. I'm kind of curious what Dolmenwood is like as far as on a virtual tabletop. Because I could have swore the 3 core books have been converted. They may have been converted to Foundry or Fantasy Grounds. But as far as the adventures, I don't know. We have the Crooked Arm Inn. And the Watchtower. The Abandoned Manse. Our Council House. Has the Fungal Father. Ooh. And then you have the Infested Villagers, who are the Fungal Father's family. Say that 5 times fast. Pete's Record says, I hear that Dolmenwood is super deadly. Dolmenwood just has the old school approach. I mean, there are save versus death, but it's in Dolmenwood, it's called save versus doom, but it's the same thing. So there are certain things that, you get attacked, and if you don't save against it, that's it. Taking a dirt nap with that character. But as far as I would say, now, got to keep in mind, I have not run these adventures. But I would say that just the setting of Dolmenwood is not, it's not as really concerned with all the resource management that old school Renaissance role-playing games tend to, or even if you go back to like D&D, AD&D. Now, granted, of course, yeah, there is resource management, obviously, but this never comes across as a setting where it's like, oh, we're never going to find a healing potion, right? Or, I can only heal another character 1 or 2 hit points. No, not really. So I think the survivability might be a little better with Dolmenwood than it would be in, say, well, maybe even old school essentials. Which is funny because, you know, they share a ton of DNA here. Right, so we also have some mines. So the black is a fetid pool. So that's where the villagers get their water. It's choked with silt. Purple lilies reek of sickly decay. That's good. Give me a sip. Would that kind of maybe, I don't know, be a clue? Don't drink that. Ruined, rotting fishing huts, long disused, dot the shore. Drinking the water sickens anyone not native to Blackeswell. Vomiting and shakes for 1d4 days, which would give you a -1 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws. Hey, at least they're not making you save versus doom. All right, so then we got the mines. And of course, I'm skipping pages here, so I'm sure there are other things that are going to clue us in on this. Tessie Trekkie says, Dolmenwood's a dangerous setting, but not one that sets out to murder the players. It's grim, but players can affect change. It's not grimdark and hopeless. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say there is also some whimsy at work in Dolmenwood. And, you know, it's kind of funny because reading through, especially the campaign book, can be kind of jarring for some people because they'll be reading about something and it's like, oh my God, that's horrific. Can't wait to unleash that on my players. And then a couple of pages later, they'll be reading about something that kind of comes across as kind of silly and humorous. I don't mind that. That does not bother me at all. Some people it might. So we actually get some new spells here. All right. So it looks like some fungal related spells. All right, then we got some more of the maps here. How many pages is 52 on this one too. Looks like that's kind of the goal of each of these adventures, about 52 pages. So that is the Fungus That Came to Blackeswell. Next is Emelda's song. And I believe this is the latest in print. I think there is a 5th adventure that's out in PDF. I'm not sure if it's out in print yet. I'll have to ask Andrew when I have an opportunity to talk with him at Page. All right, so we've got Emelda's song. The market town of Langshorn is abuzz with excitement after the cruel Lord Malbleet announces a festival honoring his sorceress ancestor. So, of course, he's one of the goat folk. Only when the young singer Emelda, famed for her beautiful voice, is reported missing do things take a sinister turn. Emelda's song is an adventure of infiltration and intrigue designed for characters level 2 to 4, presented in a quick reference format. The adventure is easy to run with minimal prep. All right, so it looks like we could piece together a campaign here. Start off with Winter's Daughter, which is levels 1 to 3. Then go with the Fungus That Came to Blackeswell. Then this takes us to 4th level. And then the Ruined Abbey of St. Clewyd is levels 4 to 6. Nice. I do think they're kind of all over the map, but something else you want to keep in mind if you're not real familiar with Dolmenwood. The map to Dolmenwood is a good size region, but it's not massive. It's not like, oh, this is the world. No, it's just a region. So very nice. All right. So let's give credit again to our creators. This is written by Scott Mulhouse. Hey, my buddy Glenn Seal did the cartography. I was going to say, I kind of recognize his style. So it looks like Glenn did the cartography on all of these. He of blood monkey design. About this adventure, Emelda's song is an adventure set in an ancient tomb complex of House Melbleet. An abducted local, Emelda, is imprisoned here. Her wondrous song, the key ingredient in an eldritch conspiracy that threatens the High Wold and possibly the Dolmenwood itself. Dun, dun, dun. Pete Strakowitz says the cloth map for Dolmenwood is a beaut. I did not have an opportunity to see that. That was not something that got sent my way. But I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, come on, it's cloth map. I don't need to have one. I prefer Exalted Funeral sell the one that they would be sending me as a review copy. So this is located in Hex 0709. That's not too far away from, I'm going to say Winter's Daughter. Here's our background. So Lord Griffius Melbleet, the ruler of one of the three major Longhorn noble houses of Dolmenwood. It's a necrotic conspiracy. Melbleet's scheming has culminated in his foulest plans so far. So here you go. Now we've got somebody that maybe you could drop some hints at in earlier adventures, because maybe you can make him to be kind of a big bad with this. So he's looking to resurrect Gnarlgruff and bind him to service. So it looks like they were a wizard. All right. Then we got some kidnappings. As far as timing, player characters should be within a day's travel, about 4 hexes. See, that's what I mean. The map that you get with the campaign book, 4 hexes is a day's travel. Most role-playing games, when you have like a hex crawl, that 1 hex is usually a day of travel or more. All right. So there's some common knowledge for the player characters. So I'm taking a guess that the player characters probably go into this town for the festival that's supposed to be taking place. There we go. So it is the Shadholm grounds. We had a festival field and a watch house. So remember, the back of the book said that it's kind of like a tomb complex that the player characters are going to be exploring. In fact, right there, it looks like there's a trap door. Looks like we still have some more information about the village. There we go. Here's the lodge. Any combat in the lodge immediately attracts the attention of the knight and soldiers in Area 8 and the soldiers in 10. A servant will run to fetch the watch house, who arrive in 4 rounds. Plus, if you get caught stealing, gonna be in trouble there too. Captain Finity, Time Travel Police, is back with us. Welcome aboard. Good to see you again. So we've got our lodge guests, and then this will allow you to randomly create them. So we have their names, then randomly you can get their appearance or personality and their station. We also have some secrets here. So keep in mind, not rumors. So they're secrets. So those are true. So I guess the entrance to this crypt is below this lodge. Okay. At the upper crypts. I was going to say, hopefully it's not just ghosts and stuff, because we've already seen ghosts in 2 of the other adventures. So we have red sprites. There's an alchemist down there, it looks like. Burialed Forelock. They're chaotic. So in Dolmenwood, you've got 3 alignments. You have lawful, which is essentially good. You have neutral. And then you have chaotic, which is, for the most part, evil. There's a worm hall, family crypts, the lower crypts. And then the black tomb, which is where the big bad is hanging out with his kidnapped victim and the wizard, the undead wizard. So it looks as if they completed the ritual, or maybe not. No, because it says that the player characters can disrupt the ritual. So then I would think that they would have to take on Lord Gnarlgruff in the end. And then we get our epilogue. So what happens if Gnarlgruff rises, if Melbleed escapes, if Gnarlgruff is killed, or if Melbleed's crimes are revealed? Very nice. All right, so this is Emelda's song, the 4th of the 4 adventures for Dolmenwood we're peeking at. So next, we're going to wrap up with a look inside the Adventuring Party Miniatures set. This carries an MSRP of $40. I wasn't sure if it slid out or if it just opens like that. So what we will do is we'll zoom in and then we'll change up the focus here. I don't know. Didn't really look like it changed much. Let's try doing this. Oh, that's as close as we're going to get. So I am going to do that. All right, why is this not locking in a focus here? This is weird. Am I too close with this? Let's find out. Yeah, this is super bizarre. I've never had this happen. Huh. That is super weird. Well, I don't know what sort of... All right, I'm going to do this. See if I can knock this out of whatever the hell's going on here. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. Like I said, I've never had that happen with with this lens I've got on here. And the thing is, I can't swap out the lens while I'm filming, so, well, you know, streaming. Okay, so first of all, this is going to be... So this is the artwork that these sculpts are based on. So this looks like one of the goat folk, but a sorcerer. Yeah, so it's a Bregel magician. And that's what they're kind of goat, kind of ram creatures. So he's holding a book. I like that. That's cool. Okay, next we have got this is a mossling fighter. So mosslings are made of, you guessed it, moss. Another thing that's cool about Dolmenwood, there are 4 different kinds of magic. So elves have this kind of natural magic to them. Then the mosslings have their magic. Then, of course, we have kind of traditional spells. So it looks like here he's got a club, a wooden club, and then a shield. All right. Then we have got the Woodgrew Thief. These are like little bat-faced folk. So here he's got looks like he's carrying around a little chest. Or, well, I guess, yeah, that could be a backpack as well. He's got his dagger in his hand. You know, what's kind of funny is the artwork on the back actually shows detailed bases here. That is not the case with the finished product, which is fine. I don't mind that. All right. This is an elf enchanter. So the enchanters are one of the magic using folk, or classes, I should say. So there you got. So Chris Leonard's talking about, oh, this looks good, but they got to hold off. Yeah, I get it. Chris talking about they invested in the Shiver role-playing game. I've reviewed the Shiver core book. I thought it was fine. I liked it. It's no Dolmenwood. Just kidding. All right. This is a human knight with their shield and their broadsword. Looks like the sculpt's pretty solid detail here. I will mention it is soft plastic. Boo! It's not super soft, but you're gonna have to treat it because I can do that with the sword. You do not want that on miniatures that you're gonna paint. All right, next up, it is all right. Where are you hiding? It's like, wait a second. I'm not seeing. Oh, is this a different sculpt? I'm not seeing this sculpt. Yeah, that's weird. I think he's supposed to be well, okay. I guess it's the right sculpt. I couldn't tell because all of this background stuff here, like I said, they have these finished bases. I was like, wait a second, is that him? So yes, this is a Grimalkin thief. And the Grimalkin are fae. And they look like cats. Well, they can take on the appearance of cats. So they're not truly cats. But all of the kindred in Dolmenwood are very interesting. All right, next up, this is our human friar. So He is carrying a pretty big pack of gear there. Looks like he's holding up a mushroom. So there we've got that. All right, we got 4 left. This is a human hunter. And what is that next to him? A dog? Yep, there's a dog. And the dog has a backpack. And I will take a swing at the pronunciation, but I know I'm not going to be anywhere close. George Tong is joining us in chat. They said if they had the money, they'd consider Dolmenwood, but they're committed to Eam first. Yeah, the land of Eam is excellent. 2 of my absolute favorite role-playing game releases. And even though it's a D12 based mechanically, it is very, very seated into the old school. So talking about like an old school flavored fancy role-playing game that isn't as deadly, Land of Eam would be something I would mention, although it is probably a lot deadlier than you would expect by taking a look at the artwork and by what you might have heard. So I know a lot of people out there have been promoting Land of Eam as it's the Muppets meet Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that, but, and I think the reason why people have said that is because of the artwork, the cover artwork on the books, not necessarily the artwork inside. Okay, so this character here is a human bard. Well, I gotta say, 11 minis for $40. That's not too bad. Okay, so here we've got, I think this is another Grimalkin. Yes, it is Grimalkin Fighter. The Grimalkin Fighter has, it's probably a short sword there. Huh, no shield, eh? And then finally, we have a Bregel fighter. Just like so. And you'll notice that this adventuring party set is really focusing more on the kind of different classes and the different heritages than you would necessarily find. So like, we have human knights. Now, granted, yes, I get it. They shared a human knight in here. But I don't think, there's really a huge need to have all these like new human figures. All right. So that is a peek at the Adventuring Party miniature set for Dolmenwood. This is also available right now. It carries an MSRP of $40. And says, commenter says, just call me Geo. Got it. I was going to say, I think you've popped in once before in chat with us. All righty. So that is a Dolmenwood evening tonight. Yes. So if you tuned in late, I did share information about how you can get into the running to win all 4 of the adventures we took a peek at tonight. essentially my PDF copies that I got with them. And go back over by the brief intermission. Might be right after the brief intermission. I tell you how you can get into the running. I'm not going to repeat myself. One thing I will repeat, though, for those who may have tuned in late, I know some folks out there have been curious how they can check out the live interviews from the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo that I will be at. In fact, Elliot Miller and I are flying out tomorrow afternoon to go out to Philly. It is over on the Page YouTube channel. I almost said Page YouTube page. So all you got to do is, well, I've actually, if you follow me on social media, I've already shared the link that you can go check out. Or if you don't follow me on social media, or you're not part of our Discord server, which it's free, why not? Why not hang out with us over on Discord? You would already have the link. But if you don't follow me, you're not part of the Discord, just go to Google and search Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo YouTube, and you will find it. I am doing the morning shifts, so I will be interviewing folks and, sharing the goings-on of Page from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Ellie and I are going to be playing some games and goofing off, and it's our usual convention shenanigans we'll get up to. Well, I'll share some pictures of us hanging around. All right. So, if you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you. I'm trying to tip the cap. It's not tipping. Because not only were you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company as I'm flipping through adventures, taking a peek at the miniatures, so on and so forth. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the channel. No shows for the rest of the week because I will be at the aforementioned Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. But of course, I will be back a week from tonight with a live stream. I'll probably give you a bit of a rundown of what went on at Page also. Very cool. All right. There's one other thing for some reason, I think there was something else I wanted to mention. It slipped my mind. That's what happens when you get old. I guess not. No, I think I covered the bases. All righty. Well, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because that is going to let you know not only, well, it's supposed to let you know, not only when the dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. I'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Dungeons Deep from my friends over at Cobalt Press. All right, everybody, have a great week ahead. Enjoy your weekend. Go Bears. I'm going to be missing the game because we'll actually be flying back to Chicago. We'll catch the second half. But yeah, I was like, damn, had to do it on Sunday, huh? When we're flying back home. You know how it is. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. I'm Jeff McAleer. I will see you next week. And as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.